Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and welcome back to the channel. And Ukraine has basically asked their allies, basically the West, NATO, the EU, to help to bomb Iran and Syria somewhat. So according to this article by MEMO, Middle East on Monitor.com, this is also actually reported by multiple other sources as well. No, this is just happened to be the one that I actually quoted. The Ukrainian government submitted a 47-page document to the G7 in August. So it claims that drones used by Russia included Iranian manufactured weapons. And according to the documents, the Guardian actually reported. So this story originally come from Guardian. And it said, according to the document, Iran has already diversified its production through the use of a Syrian factory and delivering the Russian port, delivering the drones or parts of the drones to the Russian port of Novorossiysk. And the production of drones is now slowly shifting to Russia. To the central Tatar region of Alagbuga, and Tehran continues to be supplying some of the parts, according to the Guardian. And in the effort, so Kiev want to stop all these things, and he suggested missile strikes on the production plants of these UAV in Iran, Syria, as well as the production site in Russia. So Ukraine is basically asking the West for help to hit targets beyond Ukraine. And he said that these strikes can be carried out by the Ukrainian defense forces if the partners provide the necessary means of destruction, which is basically talking rubbish, because the moment US actually going to give Ukraine cruise missiles, for example, it doesn't matter who pressed the button. That weapon system or platform is going to be from the West, and this will be a massive escalation of conflict, especially when you put Syria, maybe not so much. The West have been messing with Syria a lot. Israel has been bombing Syria at will. So is Syria maybe not that much, but to hit Iran is a totally different thing. Iran can literally shut down world shipping if they choose to. So this is going to be an escalation where I don't think the West or G7 or whoever, NATO, is going to play along. I don't think this is a viable thing. This is just the surface. What is deeper is that that's exactly what Ukraine had been doing since the beginning of the war. The aim of Ukraine is to bring NATO into direct conflict with Russia, because this is the only way Ukraine can confidently win this war against Russia, because without the West or NATO's supplies of weapons and help and ammunition and whatnot, training, Ukraine would have already lost the war right now. Like, it would be a foregone conclusion maybe half a year ago. Ukraine would have been conquered by Russia entirely. The only reason why the Ukraine war is still ongoing right now is because the West has been supplying and helping Ukraine. But just by the West supplying all weapons to Ukraine only drags on the war. And not to mention, they are supplying Ukraine weapons at a very slow rate, in a rate that ensures Ukraine continue to lose men but not lose the war. Ukraine know this very well. Ukraine is not stupid. They are not naive. They know what the West is doing, but they have picked this path of war against Russia, so they have to play on and to play the best card that is given to them. And what they can do is to try to pull NATO into the war. The moment NATO or United States enter the war, then Russia may not actually win the war, and Ukraine might actually have a chance. And with this escalation will also naturally means that if the war is won by the West and Ukraine, then Ukraine will naturally automatically become part of the EU and NATO, because you can't really differentiate the part between the two. So this is still a continuation of Ukraine's goal of trying to trip or trick the West into doing something that will result in NATO entering the war directly. So I don't think the G7 or NATO or United States will be tricked by this. This is way too obvious. And this is, like I said, this is not the first time, because they mention a lot of things, like for example, the Belarus will enter the war from the north. They talk about Russia will attack Moldova, through Transnistria. And then they actually asked Moldova, if you want help, the Ukrainian armed forces can enter Transnistria and conquer it for you. They talk about the surface to air missile system flying into Poland, and they say that is a Russian missile. And then the latest, we have the UAV, the Garan drones or something, that supposedly hitting the river system just next to Romania, along the where it was targeting the port of Ismail. Some of these parts of these drones actually fell into Romanian territory on the other side of the bank, and they want to use this to trigger the Article 5. I think it's 5 of the NATO Charter to bring NATO into war, because Romania is part of NATO, and all sort of maneuvers by the Ukrainian side to pull NATO into war, because that is the only way Ukraine can actually have a fighting chance against the Russian military in the long run. Not tentatively at this moment, of course, Ukraine can deal with it, but in the long run, it will be 100% dependent on the West if they want to continue to support Ukraine economically and militarily. So if this support suddenly stops, Ukraine will be in limbo, and I think Ukraine know this very well. That's why they are doing this maneuver. It is playing with fire in a way for the West. And and also in the other news, Ukraine pilots have arrived in the United States. They are currently in Tucson, Arizona, and I believe this is Arizona. And basically, they have started some training. They are supposed to be doing flight and maintenance training, but because they can't speak English, they can't read English, and now they are starting with English language training. So the English language training has started for several pilots, according to the Pentagon press service, and they say that this language training, because of variable capabilities, proficiencies of these various pilots and maintenance guys, so they're not sure what's the timeline, for them to go into pilot training. So it's going to take some time for all these things to happen. And the Pentagon press secretary also anticipate that this program will include several pilots and a dozen of maintainers. So the Pentagon have not specified how many pilots they will be training. They only say that this will be dependent on how many pilots Kiev want to train. So it's kind of unusual, if you ask me. Ukraine and France have signed a defense agreement. This comes as a surprise to me, because France has been messing up their entire geopolitics and the foreign policies and whatnot. The entire geostrategic situation for France is actually very bad, especially with the surrender of Niger to the junta, or juntas. Some people keep insisting, but in English it's pronounced as junta. You can't change my mind about it. Google Translate tells me so.
Junta.
So anyway, Sebastian Lecornu basically met with the Zelensky, and the French basically want to discuss the changing assistance from France to Ukraine due to the war getting longer and longer. And they say that the logic of withdrawing weapons from its own stockpile needs to change to the logic of industrial partnership. Basically also saying that France is actually running out of stockpile to actually give to Ukraine. So they brought about 20 French companies that specialize in the production of military equipment, armored vehicles, artillery, drones, cybersecurity, and mine clearing. And they signed about 20 contracts, letter of intent, and memorandums of understanding, MOUs, with the Ukrainian defense companies. So the France say that they will continue to transfer weapons to Ukraine, to continue to train Ukrainian soldiers, and they say that around 7,000 Ukrainian soldiers have undergone training or special training in France or Poland. So they say that they are now approaching an unusual stage in the relationship between the two countries, when they are now thinking what they can jointly produce or jointly purchase, which is still extremely weird. I feel like this feels not wise from the French. The reason being that if you're gonna say co-produce or co-manufacturing, then you are actually giving technologies and know-hows to the Ukrainians, losing a strategic advantage that the French probably kept. Is like trade secrets. So this is a kind of unusual kind of thing. And where is the Ukrainians going to pay for all these things? And I don't think the Ukrainians can actually pay for all this. So this entire deal just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel like it's well thought out. So anyway, on the other side, Poland. The previous time I already mentioned, I talked about Poland breaking down of relationship with Ukraine, and Poland basically doubled down. They say that even if Ukraine withdraw its complaint to WTO, they will continue to ban the import of Ukrainian grains into Poland, and this is stated by the Polish government, and the embargo is going to remain in place as long as there's a risk of Ukrainian grain disrupting the local agricultural market. And the Polish even play these moral ethic cards. They say that if they withdraw the complaints from the WTO, it would be a good gesture that shows that Ukraine wants partnership negotiations and not procedural communications. And it does make it feels like there is some severe breakdown between the two countries relationship, and the onus now is in Ukraine's the ball is in Ukraine's court. The onus is on them to show Poland that they want a proper partnership by withdrawing the complaint. And knowing Ukraine over the past this 1.5 years or plus, almost 2 years, what I learned about Ukraine is they're not going to care. They're going to continue this complaint. They will make this a procedural thing, and they will guilt trip Poland into helping Ukraine eventually, regardless. So Poland is not satisfied with the proposals from the Ukrainian side about this settlement of the situation. So the key thing now is that Ukraine wants to import all these goods in the basis of licenses, but without limits. So Mueller, I think the representative of the Polish government, said that this will destabilize the market again. So Poland standoff with Ukraine will continue. And finally, in another maybe unrelated to Ukraine, maybe it is, Norway has decided to close its border to Russian cars, Russian number plate cars. So in this breaking news from published by Pravda, which is actually a Ukrainian site, but I did fact check, it seems to be true. So Norway will actually close the border to vehicles with Russian number plates, but there is some details and some it's not to all number plates. It's only going to be smaller cars. So vehicles with 10 or more seats will not be applied to this new regulation. So minibuses and buses definitely will still be able to continue to drive through. So these are only there's also further exemptions. For example, vehicles owned by Norwegians or the European Economic Area citizens that is permanently residing in Russia or their family members. So non-Russians who driving Russian cars can still drive in. And this exception, there is also certain exception. For example, this Russian citizen that's driving Russian car have humanitarian reasons, like no need to attend some funerals, someone die, or illnesses of their family members or friends or something. So maybe this is, and of course, exemption to diplomatic vehicles or international organization or state courier services. So this is actually quite an escalation in terms of sanctions. But of course, this was already done by the Baltic states, so it's not something new. It's just absolutely unnecessary. So yeah, I mean, Norway can do whatever they want, but yeah, that's what it is. So anyway, thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and let me know what you think about all this new stuff that is actually developing around the geopolitical realms of this Ukraine war. Thank you for watching. Press the like button, and I'll see you in the next update.